Yeah.
It is official. It is now 6 o'clock.
It is 6 o'clock.
I'm going to call to order the 6 o'clock regular Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Welcome. We have some recognitions going on and presentations this evening. But at this time, I would like to ask Commissioner Brown to do the invocation for our board as we seek to do the work with wisdom and guidance this evening.
Thank you. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you once again for bringing us here tonight, Lord, bringing us together. We thank you for the earlier meeting, Lord, the things that we accomplished. We ask you to be with us here in this 6 o'clock hour, Lord. Help us to make the right decision. They're not always seem the right things, Lord, but we try to do our best. And we thank you for each and every one of these guys that sit up here with us. Lord, we thank you for this holiday is coming up, or what it means, the 4th of July, Lord. We're going to be off next month, Lord, but we know that we want to be with each and every person that thinks about what the 4th of July is really about. Lord, we ask you to be with us here the rest of the night and have us a safe trip home. For us in Christ's name and sake, we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dang, we got all that done tonight.
All right, Manager Mo, I'm going to start out by asking if we have adjustments to our agenda this evening.
Yes, ma'am, we do have a few adjustments. The first one is the removal of item 8.9 under administrative matters. We will bring that back to the board at a future meeting. And then we do have an addition to appointments to boards and commissions, and that is the addition of Personnel Advisory Commission members. So that is there, and you have an updated agenda memo before you with the applications and everything to include in your packet.
Okay. Excellent. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the adjusted agenda, please.
Make a motion?
Thank you, Commissioner Stroud. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Were you unanimous on the adjustment? Now, here we come to one of my favorite parts, getting to recognize employees. However, I'm sure some folks may not be as excited because they're losing a retiree, Martha Lambert. Martha Lambert, where are you? Please come on up, if you would, to the microphone. Do you want to bring anyone with you, or you want to solo it? Solo, come on up. But I'm going to talk about you first, and then I'm going to hand the microphone over to you. So we're going to talk about you for just a few minutes here. Martha came to work for the Iredell County Tax Assessor's Office on May 9th, 1991 as a tax clerk under Tax Supervisor Lois Troutman. Then most things were done manually or by typewriter, but soon after computers were introduced to the office. During Martha's tenure with the tax office, she mostly worked on motor vehicle assessments and billing. At first, the assessor's office would bill registered motor vehicles monthly and collect those taxes, but Martha's work on those files that came from the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles office each month to get them ready to bill. And once they were billed, you would then get to handle the appeals. On July 1st, 2013, things changed though. The state of North Carolina introduced the Tax and Tag program, which means that the taxpayer would pay their county tax at the time of registration. No longer would the county bill or collect the taxes on registered motor vehicles. That still left the assessor's office with the assessment, determining situs and handling appeals, so Martha's job did not decrease. She was always courteous to taxpayers, no matter how they treated you. Martha is retiring as a personal property appraiser 1. She currently serves under Bill Furchess, tax administrator, and Fran Elliott, tax assessor. Martha's family includes her daughter, Pat. Is Pat here? Hi, Pat. Son-in-law, Jonathan. Okay, you're going to be 2 people tonight. We got grandson, Will, and there's daughter, Stephanie, and son-in-law, Donnie. And one of Martha's passions is music. She loves to sing and play the piano and learning to play the bass. I also hear that you're a wonderful cake baker and cake decorator, and you also would bring sweet treats to the office to share with the other staff and team members there. So I'm sure they're going to miss you for many reasons. Maybe the cakes may be a big part of that as well. Martha's knowledge and dependability will be greatly missed, and her coworkers would like to wish her well. Congratulations, Martha, on a job well done.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you, first off, is there a memory that really sticks out to you? I'm sure there's many after that many years in the tax assessor's office too. But is there anything that really sticks out for you that you'll carry with you? Good or, yeah, it's got to be good. Good, positive memory for you from your years with the county.
Basically, all my memories are pretty good memories of the county. There are a few experiences that I would have liked to have skipped, but I will say most taxpayers, they just want knowledge. They want you to explain things to them. They want you to help them understand. And I've enjoyed doing that. I like a challenge, so I've enjoyed my time with the county. The experience, I guess, I had one taxpayer that went to the board, and it ruined my record. I'd never had one go to the board. But we won, so it was a win. So I guess that was the thing that stuck with me the most, is being able to have to take one to the board.
So we greatly appreciate your years of service to the county. I invite other board members to make comments.
Well, I appreciate your service to the county, and I just want to let you know one thing. Reading this, being a good cook and baking cakes, now you got more time. We meet here twice a month.
Maybe could we disapprove retirement till we get our cake? Martha, it has been an absolute pleasure. Our families for many, many years have crossed. I go back and think of Ed Ray and think of many members of your family. I'm very happy that you didn't mention the day they hired me in Veterans was one of those days you didn't enjoy. But it has been a pleasure. You are one of those folks that do have a people-pleasing personality, and I'm appreciative of that, and I know the citizens of Iredell County are. Wish you the best luck. I will tell you, I've tried retirement now twice, and it is all it's cracked up to be.
Thank
And I
you.
wish you the absolute best on everything you do. And can I go ahead and spoil your because she's coming back to work for us anyway. So you're going to come back and work part-time, correct?
If you'll let me.
Yes, so you're coming back. So you're coming back.
If we'll let you.
So you're coming back to help us with elections, correct?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So,
Gentlemen?
I'm sorry you've known Brad all these years. My condolences. But seriously, thank you. Thank you for the service to people of the county. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. I want to wish you health and happiness and make plenty of memories with your family. Spend plenty of quality time with them, and we appreciate all your dedication over the years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now do you get to spend a little extra time with the family, even though you'll be part-time working on that one too, so. And thank y'all for sharing her with us for all the years too, so. But you're not done yet. If you will come up here, I would like to present a plaque to you as well.
Okay.
German chocolate or like a Italian cream cake is fine.
I'm going with the German chocolate.
If you'll come up here and join me. Oh, the gentlemen have already got it figured out. They stand behind us. And if you'll join me, please, my dear.
Okay, you want this side?
Yeah, that works beautifully.
Okay.
And Beth is, okay, Mike will be taking our picture. Okay. Yes, please, can make sure that they're.
Stand up, Scott.
Wait, there's one more up there, another camera on smile. Yeah. Congratulations.
I would like to say thank you to all the commissioners, all the tax assessors, all the county managers for the time and the support that y'all have all given me over the 33 years and 10 months that I have worked for Iredell County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we will move along down the agenda for the next one, for an appointment before the board. Manager Moore, would you like to set the stage for the gentleman?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. We're going to have a presentation from Mr. John Green, which is President and CEO of Iredell Memorial Hospital, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about some new additions that they have, and kind of talk a little bit about where we were and kind of where we are and where we're going. So, Mr. Green?
She said Mr. Green, but I'm David Green and not John Green. But I am a lifelong resident of Iredell County, and I currently serve as chairman of the board of directors for Iredell Memorial Hospital. And I'm employed as vice president of tax for Lowe's Companies, Inc., and I hope that we are not the reason that Martha missed her perfect record. I will say that. So I want to thank you for giving us time to talk about Iredell Memorial Hospital's kind of past, the present, and the future, and our relationship with Iredell County, because it is long and historic. So joining me tonight are two fellow Board of Director members who also are lifetime residents of Iredell County, Mr. Chuck Dockery, who's Vice Chairman of the Board and co-owner of Heritage Knitting Company in Statesville, and Mr. Mike Cook, who is Treasurer of the hospital and owner of Cabin Cook Funeral Home in Mooresville. Chuck, Mike, and I are honored to be representing the Board of Directors, the Board of Trustees, and over 1,800 Iredell Memorial Hospital employees that serve our community. Also joining is Mr. John Green, the President and CEO of the hospital, and momentarily he'll come up and present the evolution of Iredell Memorial Hospital over the years, what our current operations look like, and where we're headed to continue providing outstanding health care to the citizens of Iredell County. But before he comes up, I want to take a moment to discuss the hospital's governance structure. At the top of the structure is the Board of Trustees. These individuals must be residents of Iredell County to serve in that capacity, and currently we have 168 trustees. They represent the demographics of the county. So one of the things we do in the nominating committee is try to make sure we have good representation from all aspects of the county. The Board of Trustees actually elects from themselves a Board of Directors who handles the hospital's operations and acts for the hospital on the day-to-day basis. This governance structure is an important point as decisions regarding community health care are being made by residents of Iredell County for the benefit of other residents of Iredell County. So these are our friends and our families and our neighbors. And I would like to add that each member of the trustees is uncompensated. They provide their services free of charge. And ultimately, this governance structure is what was the foundation, what the founders of the hospital actually envisioned. And I want to provide a little bit of history of the hospital so everybody can kind of level set of how this came about. In 1951, the trustees of H.F. Long Hospital actually requested a bond election be held. Some issues regarding the legality of the special election for the bonds were determined. A hospital committee was formed to press for the adoption of the bonds that were needed to construct a new hospital. And in January of 1952, Iredell County voters approved bonds to construct a new hospital. When the bond issue was complete, Iredell County acquired 20 acres at the corner of Brookdale Drive and Hartness Road for $40,000. This is the current location of the hospital, and Iredell County continues to own that property. On March 1st of 1952, the name Iredell Memorial Hospital was selected by a board of trustees as a memorial to all members of the armed forces from Iredell County who gave their lives in defense of the United States. In November of that same year, G.L. Wilson Building Company was awarded the construction contract for the hospital in the amount of $953,000. And in January of 1953, the Iredell County Commissioners and H.F. Long Hospital canceled their lease and inserted a new lease that stated, quote, "Whereas voters of Iredell County have approved a bond issuance to finance construction of a new hospital in Statesville to be known as Iredell Memorial Hospital, and contracts have been let for construction of said hospital, it is the intent of the parties to lease that H.F. Long Hospital shall cease to be operated as a hospital upon the completion of Iredell Memorial Hospital. So basically, this was shutting down the old hospital, creating a new entity, that there would be a new lease between the county and the new entity. The lease between the county and this newly formed corporation called for a nonprofit, non-stock, open staff institution, placing responsibility of the project under the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees consisted of 60 members or more, including the presidents of every civic club, an administrator, and a board of directors. The selection of trustees reflected the members of each township in Iredell County. And on May 1st of 1954, the 100-bed Iredell Memorial Hospital was dedicated and opened to the citizens of Iredell County. Iredell Memorial Hospital last month celebrated 70 years of caring for the citizens of Iredell County. The governance and management models that were implemented when it was originally formed remain in place and are operating well. As an organization, we're committed to providing quality health care to the citizens of Iredell County. So now, I didn't click on the slides, but I'm going to turn it over to John.
Thank you, David. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully, I will have enough skill set to do this. Now, if I just knew how to do a slideshow from here, it'd be even better. For the sake of time, we're going to work from here. So, David described the origination of Iredell Health System really well. And I'm not going to take a long time running through the history of the pictures, but I think it's also kind of interesting to see them. So that is the original building being built in 1954. This was actually the newspaper from the day before it opened, and you can see the hospital was visited by 9,000 people. You figure there were about 50-some thousand residents in Iredell County at the time. So think about the volume of people that was. There was almost 20% of the residents coming to see what was their hospital, which is a pretty cool way to start as an organization. This is the hospital as it was finished, and you can see there was a little bit of land around us back then. It was just a little bit different back in 1954. 58,000 square foot building. It had 100 beds total. That was actually in 40 rooms because there were rooms that shared 2 beds and there were rooms that shared 4. But we had the opportunity for 100 beds. Over the course of time, we have grown. In 1972, we had a large expansion. In 1986, we added the tower. The tower was a 7-story structure. In 2005, we topped off the building. We added an 8th story. That was as high as the state would let us go based on some earthquake standards, and so that's it. We can't go any higher. In 2024, the most recent expansion, you can see down in the bottom right where the arrow is, that is the expansion of the emergency department and critical care. When you look at all of those expansions together, our 58,000 square foot building 70 years later is now 6 times larger. So we're at 360,000 square feet of building space on the campus of Iredell Memorial Hospital. As the biggest part of this most recent expansion, we did expand 10 rooms in the emergency department. Pleased to say that we got approval for that last month. And honestly, the emergency department was busy that day, and within 3 hours, we were seeing patients in those rooms. The staff was so excited to have the opportunity to use additional rooms that it did not take long. I believe we got one member of the press in very quickly who got to take these pictures, but beyond that, there was no public scene of that area because it was just time to get it open. We knew what we needed to do. The other part that we're looking at finishing right now, and this will be finished in the next couple weeks, is the critical care unit. So the critical care unit was 16 beds. It was built in 1986 when the tower was built. It was aged. And so what we have done is we've built 16 new rooms. They're about twice the size of the old rooms. You can see in the picture, the left picture is the picture of one room. And those new 16 rooms, which have beautiful light, beautiful windows, will be open hopefully in the beginning of July. The state is projected to come in on June 25th, and obviously we need their approval before we can initiate patient care. But our goal is that by the early July, we are able to use the 16 new rooms, then we will renovate the other 16 rooms and make 11 other rooms. So we're going to basically take 2 and make 1 so that there are larger rooms and more up to date. So we've done a lot, but we haven't looked at just our adjusted Statesville because we recognize we're here for the citizens of Iredell County just as you are. And so some of the other changes we've done, 2013, we built a multi-specialty building down in Mooresville just so we could start to see patients in Mooresville, recognizing that when Iredell Memorial was created in 1954, 30% of the population of Iredell County lived in Statesville. It was by far the largest city. There's a reason we started here. But we all know that that's not the case now with respect to how much Mooresville has grown. And so in 2018, we purchased 18 acres of land on Bluefield Road so we could build a second campus, recognizing that A, there was a lot of patients that were in need down there. B, there's nothing wrong with healthcare choice. In fact, it's a good thing. And so we built our first building, a 68,000 square foot building. It was finished in 2021. That building is now full, which is a wonderful challenge to have. One of the things that we put in that building was a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week urgent care. It's the only one in the region. And the reason we did that was for cost to the patient and for convenience to the patient. Because what we heard from focus groups was, we don't want to go to the emergency room after hours. And yet after hours, that's the only choice we have. And so we recognized that that probably wasn't, from a cost standpoint to the organization, the smartest thing to do to be open 24 hours a day, but it was the best thing for the patients in the community. And so that's what we did, and it's been very successful. We've seen 22,000 visits in the second year that we were open during for that facility, which is a fantastic opportunity to see. Looking at one other urgent care that we happened to build, that was here in Statesville. This week is the 1-year anniversary of that building. And the reason we created that was in response to Davis Regional Medical Center's closing. We recognized that we were going to get it dramatically busier, and so we needed to offload some of the patient care. And so we took the old Blockbuster building on East Broad Street, and we did get that open. It cost about $1.6 million, but it was well spent. And just finishing up the first year, we're going to have seen 13,000 visits in that facility in the first year. So we know that that was definitely the right decision. Importantly, though, I mean, you all know better than I, this county is rapidly growing. So what has Iredell Health System done, and or where are we positioned to go in the future? Because realistically, that's the questions you're going to ask me if I don't answer for you. So I wanted to talk for a few minutes about the hospital capacity and some of the other things that we have done. From an inpatient standpoint, we are licensed for 199 beds. We currently staff for 155 beds. That is not uncommon. Hospitals staff for what they believe there could be the highest census they could get to in a reasonable amount of time. You can't afford to have staff sitting around that aren't doing something. We average about a 70% occupancy. So we have about 30% occupancy availability just on that number. Additionally, we have a floor that is renovated, it's ready to be opened, it has 30 more beds, and it's just waiting for us to have the need. That would give us another 20% flexibility. So we have plenty of inpatient capacity. We're very comfortable from an inpatient standpoint that we can continue to grow with the community. From a birth standpoint, we are so pleased to welcome around 700 newborn infants into the world in this past 12 months. I will tell you that back in the early 2000s, we had around 1,000 births in the same space. So we know we have space for about 300 more births per year. So again, we're very comfortable from a capacity standpoint, from a birth standpoint. The emergency department, the biggest challenge. So we knew that Davis's closure was going to affect us the most. We expected to grow by about 40% the number of visits that were going to come to the emergency department, and we weren't far off. So that took our volume from around 30,000 to up over 40,000. And realistically, with the number of rooms we had, 40 to 42,000 was capacity. And so we recognize because you can't control when patients come to the emergency room, you don't want to control. You want them to come when they need to come. But because of that, we also recognize that there were going to be times that would be difficult. Our board of directors had actually approved an increase to the critical care unit when Davis announced their closure. And I'm pleased to say that the board changed that decision from a $14 million critical care advance to a $22 million increase that included another 10 rooms in the emergency department. So that took us from 26 to 36 rooms in the emergency department. So that gives us the ability for another 25% capacity growth, which is hugely important. A couple of the things that I look at it from an administrator standpoint, I look at how long does it take an average patient to come in and leave the emergency room. That's, as a patient, what you worry about. And so, there's statistics. So the national average for a person walking in, being registered to departing, to leaving, not being admitted, but departing, is 3 hours and 12 minutes nationally. And so I can tell you that, right after Davis's closure, we exceeded that. We went up into the 320, 325, 3 hours and 25 minutes per patient range as we struggled to work with that pace. I'm pleased to say that right now we are down to 3 hours and 6 minutes, and that's before we opened the additional 10 rooms. They haven't been open long enough for me to give you the statistics. How did we do that? We hired additional staff, we changed some flow, and we made sure that we just worked to the level that we had to. So we're pleased to see that we're below the national average. Honestly, I'd like to see us get down a little lower. I'd like to see just a little bit under 3 hours. If you go much shorter than that, the challenge is, are you providing the care you need to provide? So, you can let somebody come in and push them out the door, but if they don't receive the care they need, then that isn't really what we're there for. And so from a quality standpoint, there's always a balancing act between fast enough and too fast. But we're pleased to see that we're below the national average. The other thing that I look at is someone that leaves without receiving treatment. So that means somebody that said, I need emergency room care today, comes in, registers, is waiting for whatever period of time, and then says, you know what, I'm out. And that's a horrible statistic to me, because that means somebody felt they needed to come in and then they didn't receive care. And nationally, 4.9% of all the patients that register in emergency rooms leave before they receive treatment. And our number right after Davis's closure went up to 3.6%, which is, well, under the national average, was higher than I'd ever seen at Iredell, and certainly a number I wasn't proud of. But we also knew we could fix it. I'm pleased to say as of this month, we're down to a 2% number of folks that are leaving without receiving treatment. I'd love to see that number down to 0, but I'm pleased to see that we are certainly less than half of the national average. So with the addition of the 10 rooms, we have capacity. We're pleased to see that. And now it's just a case of us continuing to work on that flow. Critical care, we already mentioned. We're going from 16 to 27 rooms. That's key, because individuals that are being admitted to the hospital are sicker. They need more care. You don't have the regular admissions that you used to have. And so folks need the capacity of the critical care unit. Additionally, I mentioned from a community standpoint, we're additionally looking to grow sites in Statesville. We recognize that from a convenience standpoint and a population growth standpoint, we need to put things not just at the corner of Hartness and Brookdale. We need to put things all around the community. And so we are growing in the number of sites. We are also mentioned the urgent care. Then finally, Davie Avenue ASC. So the ambulatory surgery center on Davie Avenue, which was majority owner was Atrium. Atrium last July closed that. And so we were a minority owner. We worked with Atrium for the last several months, and I'm pleased to say we have purchased that fully and we have reopened that center. And so that gives individuals the opportunity that need outpatient surgery, that don't need to come to a hospital. They have the ability to receive that care locally. And that's hugely important from a local standpoint. It's also less expensive because it is less serious surgery. So that's positive. That's good for this community. Next, looking at the fact that realistically, we are not just Statesville. We are Mooresville. We are the rest of the county. Mooresville, the 24/7 urgent care is doing fantastic. We also started an ambulatory surgery center in that building for the exact same reason. Then finally, we are adding additional sites down in Mooresville. Additionally, we're looking in other parts of the county. We have a site in Harmony. We have a couple sites in Troutman. We're looking at additional sites in Troutman. We recognize the burgeoning growth there. And then when you go back to Mooresville, we have land. We have 18 acres of land. We recognize that with that 18 acres, we can build about 200,000 square feet of building. The first building, 68,000. So we have the ability for at least 2 more of those, or 3 more if you take smaller size buildings. And so, a really fun task that we have right now is we're starting to talk about what do we do next. And that, I think, is a great opportunity for us. What I'd also just like to talk about, finally, is our community impact. David mentioned we are very proud that we are the third largest employer in Iredell County with over 1,800 employees. We have a payroll of $110 million. That $110 million is money that stays here. That is money that entirely stays in our region and our communities. That's a positive. There's no question about that. Additionally, this past year, we spent over $37 million on capital projects. That $37 million allows us to continue to grow in what we do and continue to get further technology and continue to get other reasons for people to be able to have healthcare locally. Then finally, some of the folks in our community can't afford. And so we did have uncompensated care of over $63 million. So when you add all of those figures together, our total community benefit was over $211 million in 2023. A number we're very proud of, but a number that I expect will continue to grow over the next several years. I think I would say, in summary, we are a locally owned and operated nonprofit healthcare system started by a group of Iredell County citizens and the county commissioners. We are still run by this group of community leaders. You have 3 of them with me tonight. I am very proud to be part of that group. In fact, over the 70 years, I'm only the 5th CEO in 70 years of this organization, which is a pretty good record. Safety and quality are also extremely important to us. There's way too many things for me to talk about throughout the, in the limited amount of time, but I would say just looking at our recent leapfrog score, which is an A, which we're very proud of, it showcases the fact that we are focused on safety, we are focused on quality. And I would just say, as noted by Mr. Green in the beginning, our 2 organizations are intrinsically tied together. And honestly, I take some blame for not keeping you informed of the progress, because I probably should have been here sooner to make sure you were aware of all the successes we've had, all the progress we've done. And I promise you that you will hear from me again sooner than the number of years it has been. But I think it's important for you to understand what Iredell Health System has done over these years, and also what we are doing to prepare for the future. I do appreciate the opportunity to update you on this progress, and I honestly will look forward to getting to do it again. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you all for being here this evening. And every time that I hear information, I always learn a little something more. There was one thing you had mentioned too. You talked about the focus group and your what next. I know you can't identify exactly what is next, but what goes into the process for making the decisions as you've expanded repeatedly throughout the years? Is there a policy procedure or what takes place to be able to know what the next is?
That's a great question, and I would tell you that it varies. What we did in the last focus group was we took a number of our board of trustees, having 170 trustees that live throughout the community. For the Mooresville campus, we took individuals that only lived in Mooresville, because we said we don't really need somebody from North Iredell to tell us what we need to build in Mooresville. We need folks that live in Mooresville to tell us what we need to build in Mooresville. And then we also brought in elected officials, and we brought in some of our physicians that work in that market. And we asked them, what do you think we should do? And it was really, kind of a throwing spaghetti against the wall kind of a session. Let's just see what sticks. And that's what we did. And interestingly, the first thing that was brought up was 24/7 urgent care. And there's a reason no one does it, because it isn't cost effective. But we heard it enough times that we said, we're going to do that. And that's our plan, to do that again. Actually, in just a couple weeks, the Health System Board of Directors and Iredell Health also has a foundation. That foundation Board of Directors will be meeting for a joint meeting, and that will be one of our topics, is to start that conversation. What do you think we need to do next? And then we will pull some focus groups together again, because we do need to hear from the citizens of each part of the county to understand what they believe is important. Then we'll do the due diligence and say, is that something that truly is needed? Is it something that somebody says, but there's 3 other options around the town? Not necessarily what we need to do. Then finally, is it something we should be doing on our own, or is it something we should do in collaboration with somebody else? Because, one of the fantastic parts of being an independent health system is we get to make our own decisions, but also we have to be smart enough to know, when do we bring in a friend? When do you phone a friend and bring somebody in to help you with that, versus when do you do something on your own? And I think that will be the key component of the next decision process.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'll ask if there's any comments or questions.
I'll just say that we appreciate the investment. I mean, we always are looking for quality health care for our people. I know I serve on the NCACC board for 8 counties. And, you know, Yatkins Hospital closed down, and so you're getting people in the region, not just Iredell County people. But I know when I was at your hospital recently, I told you that, you know, it was so busy, and your staff that I could overhear was doing a good job directing people that did not want to wait, that did not maybe need to wait to go to one of the other facilities that had less wait time. I thought that was a really good idea, because a lot of people are unaware, you know, unless they need you, but then they don't know the options unless they've ever been there before. So I think that has been really beneficial from just my observation, that letting them know there are other options other than the hospital that's available for people that may just need some lesser care that doesn't need to wait 3 hours or whatever the wait may be. But I felt like that was something that, you know, putting more time in that would definitely be beneficial to the citizens, because there's a lot of people, especially that come here from out of county, that don't know maybe about Broad Street or these other options. But I thought that was a good idea from staff. But thank you for the investment.
Absolutely, and I would just add that, you know, we have initiated a marketing campaign on when do you use urgent care versus the ED, just for that exact reason, because we recognize that when in doubt, people don't always know. And so I appreciate that. I told my marketing person she's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So it was 20 acres for $40,000?
It was.
The 20 acres, 40,000, that's gone. Building a hospital less than $1 million, those days are gone. But you are correct, the county is growing. It's growing, and I've been the big critic of some of our growth, but it is growing. Most importantly, you all provide a service that's life and death. Mm-hmm. And I know over the years, me and you've dealt with some unique situations, and I appreciate your help on that. I appreciate your staff's help on that. And if you could please relate to all your staff from our board, we appreciate what each and every one of those folks do from every day and every night, because it's 24/7, 365, and it never stops. And we appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Gentlemen?
I appreciate what you do too. I've lived here my whole life, and I was born in that hospital, so I have a little bit ties to it. And my mom's 85 years old, and let me tell you, when she goes to hospital, that's the only hospital she wants to go to. It doesn't matter if she lives closer to Mooresville Hospital, she wants to go to Iredell Memorial. We do appreciate it.
I, like Commissioner Brown, was also born at Iredell Memorial, and I've also had the pleasure of being an employee of Iredell Memorial Hospital for a little while. Don't ask, boss. But as veterans, one of the greatest things I got to do in working with John and the staff at our memorial, and got to work with one of the programs you mentioned, and Mr. Green, if I'm wrong in my verbiage, the waiver process, when you were talking about folks that didn't have the ability to pay, you have a fantastic program. Very simple. The staff is wonderfully helpful to those less fortunate that are struggling at a particular time. It's not a cumbersome process for those that are in need and help. Over the years of dealing with Iredell, with your time and prior with Mr. Nunnery in my tenure, getting help for veterans either through your facility or getting support to get them to a facility was phenomenal. And so now to sit here from this perspective, it's incredible, and really appreciate everything that you do, and appreciate the time that you folks put into it to ensure we keep that standard.
And I appreciate that. I told Commissioner Stroud that, you know, one of the exciting things that is happening is we are starting an internal medicine residency program. So we'll be having physicians who will have finished their training, then our residents at our facility starting next year. And we are finalizing a contract with the VA in Salisbury that they'll be able to do some of their training in Salisbury with veterans and some at Iredell Health System. And that will give them a great opportunity for 3 years with us to recognize what a fantastic place Iredell County is and why would they ever want to leave.
Awesome. Thank you for reaching out and y'all doing that. That's phenomenal.
It's amazing what we can all do when we come together for teamwork and ideas and thoughts. And with that, did you have anything else you want to share? Because I believe you have some recognitions going on of some employees at this time, too.
We do. I think your employee, 33 years was pretty impressive. I know I'm going to give some awards for 40 and 45 years in just a few minutes, so I do need to get out to that dinner.
And we will let y'all slide out right after this presentation, which we appreciate each one of you being here and sharing information with us. And with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Remind everybody because we have the opportunities we have, because we're the best county in the country, not just the state.
The county, the whole country, right?
Gene, not everybody needs to move here, okay?
I didn't invite anybody else.
That disclaimer.
I just said why we are the best is because we are the best.
Extend our appreciation to your staff as well when you're there.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night. Thank you.
All right, turning back to our agenda. We do not have any public hearings this evening. That takes us to our administrative matters, which we discussed at length during the 4 o'clock hour. We learned a little more in depth while we have additional staff present. But as we are here in the 6 o'clock hour, Manager Moll, would you please kick us off with a summary of our administrative matters, please?
Absolutely, thank you. The first item is a request from Information System Technology for approval of Cohesity Backup Contract. After discussion, this was approved for consent based on the final revision and any edits necessary deemed by the county attorney, and then the county manager is authorized to sign. A request from the Finance Department for approval of surplus declaration and approval of donation of personal property to entities carrying out a public purpose, and this is for 5 monitor defibrillators, 3 to Iredell Rescue, and 2 to Mitchell Community College, their paramedic training course. A request from the Finance Department for approval of Budget Amendment Number 43 to appropriate lease financing to record the full value of leases and subscription-based IT arrangements recorded in fiscal year '24 as required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. There was a request from the Finance Department for approval of Budget Amendment Number 44 to appropriate $28,703 of investment earnings on state grants accounted for in the general fund, and to amend the special revenue funds associated with current state grants to recognize investment earnings of $42,070 to the Three Corners Capital Project and $257,000 to the Fairgrounds Capital Project. There was a request from the Finance Department for approval of Budget Amendment Number 45 to recognize and appropriate additional insurance claim proceeds to the Sheriff's Department for their vehicle line item in the amount of $46,312. A request from Administration for approval of the Jennings Park Sewer Line Operation and Maintenance Agreement with the City of Statesville, and this is for them to operate and maintain that line because we are not authorized or licensed for wastewater treatment or water collection systems. There was a request from Administration for approval of the Jennings Park Water Line Operations and Maintenance Agreement with Iredell Water Corporation for the same purposes. Because we're using ARPA funding to put in this water and sewer line, we have to retain ownership until January of 2027. So we're contracting with these entities that have the appropriate licensing to maintain and do all the repairs and maintenance of those lines. And then finally, there was a request from Tax Administration for approval of the May 2024 releases and refunds.
Okay. And that completes our administrative matters for this evening. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Make a motion.
By Commissioner Brown. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are unanimous on the consent agenda. We do not have any announcements of vacancies occurring on boards and commissions. However, for item number 10, there are appointments to boards and commissions. If we will please take a look at, there's 3 different boards and commissions that have volunteers willing to serve on those. So let's take a look at those, please.
Absolutely. The first one is the Central Iowa Workforce Development Board. We have 1 appointment, and Brenda Spees has volunteered to serve again.
Let's do a individually motion to approve on those. So Brenda Spees, we appreciate her willing to serve again. Do we have a motion to approve hers, or appoint her, please?
Make a motion to approve, Brenda.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Stroud. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Great, we all approve Brenda. We appreciate that. Take us to the Home and Community Care Block Grant. There are 4 appointments for that one, too. Manager Mulfield, talk to us about those, please.
Absolutely. We have 4 appointments, and all of these individuals have volunteered to serve for the first time. We have Jennifer Barklaw, we have Sonia, and I'm going to need help with that last name.
Aquino, Aquino,
Aquina. Linda Need, and then Paul Bremer. Again, they have all volunteered to serve for the first time.
We appreciate that. Their applications are very thorough and well qualified for those, for the home and community care block grant positions there on that board. Motion to appoint those.
I make a motion for the home and community care.
You got them all in, that's right. Thank you, Commissioner Brown. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're unanimous on that one. Then talk to us a little bit about the Personnel Advisory Committee, please.
This is the final one that's on appointments, and this is the Personnel Advisory Committee. We have 5 appointments. We have Michael Bennett and Amber Hagendorn that have volunteered to serve again, so they are currently serving and they've agreed to serve again.
Okay.
And then we have Nettie Johnson, Retha Gaither, and Erica Petrick that have volunteered to serve for the first time.
So 5 willing to volunteer for these and 5 appointments on that. We have a motion to appoint those 5, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the Personnel Advisory Committee.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Stroud. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We're going to unanimous on those. Again, we appreciate folks willing to serve. And if y'all feel like you're left out, I'm sure there's other opportunities to serve. Check out our website for ways to spend your time and give back to our community. So that's my public service plea for anyone else who wants to be a part of. So as we'll continue down, that takes us right to, no, any unfinished business. I will ask that. There was none for the 4 o'clock hour. I'm assuming nothing happened between 4 and 6 that wasn't finished, so. All right, now the moment the public has all been waiting for, the public comment period, because it is the second meeting of the month. The board conducts a public comment period at the second regular meeting of the month. The purpose of the public comment period is to allow citizens to speak on matters related to county government. Each speaker that is signed up is allotted 3 minutes and will be called to the podium by the chair in the order names appear on the sign-in sheet. Please state your name and address before beginning your comments. Comments are to be directed to the board as a whole, responses by the board or at their discretion, but the public comment period is not intended to be a question and answer period, but rather a time for the board to hear from the public and take such matters raised under advisement. Citizens will be expected to be civil in their language and presentation and not engage in slander or name-calling. Citizens should not discuss any matters which are closed session matters, including but not limited to matters regarding personnel and matters which are made confidential by law. Speakers who have prepared written remarks or supporting documents are encouraged to leave a copy of such remarks or documents with the clerk to the board. So I will now open the public comment period this evening, and the first person signed up is Chad Gandy. If you'll please approach the podium and state your name and address. And then you'll have 3 minutes, please, to share your thoughts with us this evening.
Thank you. Chad Gandy, 105 Stallion Lane, Statesville, North Carolina. Appreciate you folks hearing me tonight. I wanted to bring before you a matter that we've had in our neighborhood. I've been asked to attend by the President of the Homeowners Association for Donsdale Community. Last couple of years, we've had some issues with inundation of door-to-door soliciting in our neighborhood. And just presenting the matter to you to see if there's something we can do in terms of an ordinance or some type of regulatory matter from the county side. We've asked these folks to leave. It's 2 pest control companies that are main offenders, Aruza and Aptiv. Neither has a presence in Iredell County. I've spoken with both of those offices and asked them not to come back, as well as the representatives who enter our neighborhood. Sometimes it is 3 to 4 nights a week, days a week. The last couple of years, there could go for lulls. We don't have a couple of weeks, but then you're hit daily sometimes, all the way up to 9 o'clock. Pretty aggressive practices from these folks where they even will step into your foyer. We've got some elderly folks that have brought some matters before us. Last year, in speaking to the Sheriff's Department, we were advised to put no solicitation signs up at the entrance to the neighborhood. I've got one egress across from Jennings Park in and out of that neighborhood. We did so. These 2 companies, Aruza again being the main offender, continues to come in and out. I spoke with Matt Burleson a couple weeks ago because it started again this year. Matt advised me there's really nothing they can do because the only thing they can do in terms of a law is North Carolina's general statute that says I can ask that person to leave. If that person doesn't leave or they come back a second time, they charge them a second-day trespassing. But they can basically, they send a different person out every day. They can line 100 people up in my front yard and walk them one-to-one to my door. We've got widows and some elderly folks in my neighborhood that have presented some issues. These two companies admittedly don't background check their employees. They say they're 1099, contract employees trying to sidestep responsibility for these folks. They're rude, they're condescending. They've used my name in the introduction. They'll write your name down. They said, we've got business down here. The last time the guy was in a couple weeks ago, he used my name as he went to every house out in the neighborhood. He says, oh, Chad, your HOA president, he gave me permission to be here. Didn't happen. So, it is frustrating. I work from home. They purposely knock on doors rather than ringing doorbells if you've got a video doorbell so they don't get captured. Mine captures it by motion. So just ask if you folks will review that. I have problems with it. The Saddlewood neighborhood adjacent to me, and then Greystone, I think you've got somebody here from there, but
30 seconds.
I've got a representation of an ordinance that Lincoln County has. I'll leave with you. It basically states if you've got a sign present, you haven't been invited, the sheriff's department or whatever governing entity, law enforcement, can then enforce that. So really appreciate if you folks would take that into consideration.
State your name of your or your homeowners association or your...
It's the Donsdale community. The entrance is directly across from the Jennings Park, right at the corner of White Farm and Jennings Road. Saddlewood is right adjacent to me, and then Greystone Meadow. All those neighborhoods are within a half a mile of the entrance. I've got almost 60 in mine. They can hit 150 homes. They ride around on a Segway, and these folks are just, not courteous is probably the kindest
If you've got
way.
an extra copy, will you give that to Lisa maybe to look at?
I've got 10 copies of that ordinance, and then this is just the main ordinance, doesn't list the fines that can be given, but I'll send you folks a link.
I think Davidson may have something too, or...
They do. That one's pretty basic and easy, that's why I pulled it, and it's covered. But I'll email it to the board members.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, thank you. You're not the only neighborhood complaining about that.
Amanda Sherrill.
Amanda Good and Cheryl. My address is 115 Foxglove Drive. I'm right across from Donsdale and Greystone Meadow. And piggybacking from what Chad has said, we are inundated with door-to-door salesmen, sometimes 3 a day. It's becoming the rolling joke that we have the sign. Numerous times we've called the sheriff's department, and they just don't have the law to stand on to remove these individuals. Where we have the signs just the same as they do. They continuously will roam our neighborhood. I've had it at 8:15 in the morning all the way to 9:30 at night. These are aggressive individuals. If you're on social media, I'm sure you've had other friends that have vented about their situation and their experience. It's a nuisance, and as we've heard tonight that Iredell County is growing, we continuously have more people coming in that's not part of Iredell County. I think if we had the ordinance, it would not only make our community safer, but then also present the option for, if we do have such salesmen, that they do have to have a permit, that would be revenue for the county as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that is all the names that are signed up. So I'm going to close the public comment period for this meeting. And we'll just continue on down the agenda. And I'm sorry y'all are dealing with. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Commissioner comments and updates. Does anybody have any, where they've been, what they're doing, or comments? I know we've had, maybe not quite as busy, but there's always something going on. Do we have any updates? Commissioner Halp, you have anything to say?
I'll just mention, I've had a lot of calls other than the two couples that spoke tonight is on the solicitation issue. And I know we're all getting the calls and texts and emails about the growth in the ETJs and some people intentionally putting misinformation out there that we have control over what the municipalities can do in their ETJ, or if they have a petition from a property owner to annex with the amount of growth we have. I just wanted to, again, bring it to everyone's attention that we're continuing to get those calls and the frustrations, and citizens, that attended a meeting last night in Statesville were frustrated that they felt like they were threatened in the ETJ. That I understand that's the law that governing entity can use eminent domain or condemnation if necessary to have an easement across that property. But if we take the time as elected officials and explain the process to people where they don't have a misunderstanding that their property can just be seized and taken for something like that, a lot of people may be more apt to understanding the process. And so just people calling, venting about the frustrations that we're aware of with the growth and the situations and the feedback that I've gotten from some school board members and citizens of our meeting last week, that they appreciated the correspondence to send back and ask for more further information, do our due diligence for both boards, working with the contractor and/or to potentially have to put it back out for bid. But once everyone understood the expectation, I think they understood why we did what we did with the information that needed to be more defined, I guess you would say. But people appreciated that process, and that's all I've got.
Vice Chair Conley?
We've been very vocal about the growth and will continue to be. And that's one thing about it. So
Impacts everything we do.
yeah, so everybody's going to hear what we stand about the growth. The unmanaged growth, we're very vocal, and we'll do that. And hopefully the folks that are out here terrorizing our communities out here at crack of dawn to whatever time at night, trying to harass our folks out here trying to sell stuff and be extra aggressive, hopefully we'll have something for those folks soon too, so.
Right.
Gentleman to my left.
Kind of the same with Commissioner Conley and Commissioner Houp. Add in the phone calls and the texts and the mail for, you want to sell your property. We could really cut back on the need for
Communication.
paper. So we hear you, we truly do. In the rural areas, crime is on a tick up, stealing tractors, it's getting personal, y'all, we're coming up on a holiday that I hope each person just takes a moment to sit back and reflect for just a moment. The courage it took, over 250 years ago to take that stand, and what the folks gave us, the legacy that those folks stood up and gave us. So as you're celebrating and you're enjoying your family and your activities, just take a quick moment just to remember this isn't about soldiers, or it's about our heritage, our history, and take a moment and realize how special of a country we live in, and we have a lot of complaints, we have a lot of problems. But I will tell you, as a person that's traveled a good piece of this world, as bad as we are, we're head and shoulders above whatever's in second place. Mm-hmm. And for the first time in 25 years, I will spend the 4th of July outside of this country, and it will make me probably bring back some memories and make me understand how special and how blessed we are to live here, regardless of our disagreements and our troubles and our trials and our challenges.
Absolutely.
And I agree, we were discussing something earlier tonight. If you don't get around, drive around this county, I was going through Mooresville, a certain part of it last night, and saw, 1,000, 2,000 apartments being built. And I thought, man, I thought we were done building apartments. And it's just, I couldn't believe how many were going up in an area. And it's, and that doesn't help us. People think that we want more houses, more building because we get the taxes. That doesn't help us. It hurts us. It puts us in a deficit. But, and you know what, the communities, one thing you can do is put gates up, with keypad. That stops them, put up, signs, that people can't come and sell there. Or I've got a couple tigers, I'll rent you. So nobody comes to my house, nobody. So it works, so.
It's not just the tigers.
That's true. My wife's mean too, that's what you're saying.
And on that note.
But we do hear you.
At least
We'll together there for a little while.
And, we live in a country where we can even,
Have fun while we do our.
have fun while we do our work.
Yes,
So,
indeed. So we are thankful for where we live. Well said, gentlemen, on that one. And then I'm going to ask, if we have any new business? Okay, well, that takes us right into the county manager's report. So Manager Mull, if you will frame that up for us, please.
Absolutely. I'll make it fairly quick. For the month of July, we only have one meeting that month. We've talked about the Independence Day holiday on 4th of July, so we will be closed on that day. That's Thursday, July the 4th. We will be closed in observance of that holiday, and therefore we will not have a meeting the first week in July. So for the month of July, we will have one meeting. It will be the second meeting of the month, and that will be July the 16th. I do want to thank Cindy Nicholson for stepping in and filling in for us this evening, and I just appreciate her being able and being here tonight to help us, so.
Yeah, as she gives a final count, that kind of surprised me down at the end. She's my clock counter down there.
I know, she does a great job too, so she's on it.
All right. And that takes us to is that all?
Yes,
Manager
ma'am.
Mull?
That's
Okay. Well, that takes us to, we did have closed session for economic development and personnel, and we do have one motion that came out of the economic development.
Yep, I'd like to make that motion. Motion's to extend the time to execute a incentive agreement between Den Incorporated in the county to February 6, 2025. I knew I wouldn't get that name right.
That's okay. It was close enough. It was a German company then in Mooresville on that one. So motion by Commissioner Brown to extend a time on that one. So everyone's good on that? You understand the motion? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. None opposed. 0. We are unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Brown. And that takes us to the end of the agenda. All hearts free. Well, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So make a motion.
All right, we are motion to adjourn by
I know, now
Brown
they
and
speak.
Halp. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
You're what?
A working gavel.